This is Inside the Locker Room, where football isn't just a game, it's a war zone. Every take, unfiltered. Every prediction, ruthless. From Sunday battles to primetime legends. We break down the matchups, the mind games, and the moments that define champions. Fantasy, film, trash talk, all inside the locker room. So if you came for smoke, you're in the fire now.
So we got another episode of Inside the Locker Room, HBCU Central, and today we have another special guest. CJ Wilson from Prairie View, and the craziest part is I feel like our message is working. We're getting more and more players on here to agree, and the message is working. And like I keep saying, support our HBCUs. But to get this interview started, introducing to us CJ Wilson. How are you doing?
Good. How y'all doing?
We're doing amazing. And like I said, I told you before, thank you for taking time out of your day, to come on and speak with us, help us spread the word about HBCUs and help us spread the word about student athlete excellence. And when I normally start these interviews off, I always let Michael start it off. Michael.
Yeah, first of all, CJ, like Dude said, we appreciate you so much. And for our guests, welcome to HBCU Central, but also welcome to our YouTube channel at Inside the Locker Room TV. We hope you enjoy, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and spread the word. Spread the word for our HBCUs because as you get, I don't know what my shirt says, HBCU powered by purpose. Uh, HBCU powered by purpose. That's the theme of what I'm calling this show. And to start this off, CJ, normally when I ask these questions, I put them in chapters and then I tell you the name of the question. So the first chapter is called Performance and Evolution, but the question is called Defensive Mindset. Your father taught you that defense is effort, right? And that nobody can take that away from you. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. How do you balance being the team's leading offensive threat while still being a force on the defensive field?
Um, like I said in the article, I think you're reading. I know specifically which one it is. It's just about honing in on what you on the court for. I feel like some games it's like you the offensive threat, but sometimes it ain't your game. So it's just a matter of what else is gonna keep you on the floor. And I think that defense is always gonna keep you on the floor. If you can stop the opponent from scoring, then you're gonna be on the floor regardless. You got to guard the best player on the other team, so that's something to keep you on the floor. But I just think that it's just a dual threat for me. Like you're not taking me off. I'm gonna play all 40 minutes if I have to. So yeah.
And the one thing I'm saying is because this all translates from high school. High school is where when you start, that's when you start to ramp it up, your career. And you went to Stockbridge High School, I believe. So, the question I want to ask you is how did that prepare you actually for playing at Prairie View? Because Prairie View is probably one of the most dominant HBCU programs out there.
Right. So Stockbridge prepared me. I think that how do I want to put it? I think that Georgia has the best girl hoopers in the entire United States, in my opinion. So I think the competition out there really helped me to get to this point that I am right now. So I think that also with my father being my coach, it also helped as well. He wasn't, he was always hard on me, the hardest on me, no matter what it was. So I think that played a role into how I am now and how I handle things and how I adapt and how I'm able to just, change on the spot. Like if something ain't working right then and there, I can switch to something else. And if if that's not working, I can switch to something else. So it's always something in my back pocket because I feel like it's always in those moments. Something just might not be working. So you got to go to something else. So yeah.
Absolutely. And, that's the biggest thing that I've learned in life is that sometimes when God closes a door, he opens another. And,
Right.
I honestly feel what you're saying for sure because you always got to have a plan B, plan C. You really just got to have a plan, a strategy in life, because you never know how life can go. 'Cause like I said before earlier in the show, life gets to life and you
It
can't
definitely
explain it.
does.
You can't, we're in a tough time now where gas prices are like $3 now, almost close to $4. So it's kind of hard, to make a living. And I hate to say that, but that is true.
That's
So I
reality.
definitely, yeah, that's reality. That's just the modern time that we're in. But as many people say all the time, I think we'll overcome this. But we just kind of just have to, in my opinion, we just kind of have to just keep the faith and just work on us while the world continues to work on itself, because
Right.
that's what matters in this modern time. But CJ, we're gonna jump into chapter 2 here. It's called HBCU Life and Academics. But the
Mm-hmm.
question is called the peer review culture. Peer review is known for its deep history and the heel, as y'all call it down there.
The
What is
hill,
the
yes.
most Yes. What was the most HBCU moment you've experienced so far? Maybe a specific game atmosphere or homecoming event at Peer Review A&M University.
I think you know the answer to this question, but I want to say the basketball game when we playing Texas Southern. I think that's like the most. I don't say the most crowd we have, but the most livest crowd that we have. It's just like every shot you make, the whole crowd going crazy. Like if you
Okay.
do something on the other team and they don't like it or whatever, they egging it on and instigating all that. So I think that that's like the livest moment that I've had at Prairie View and in that arena. Like it's amazing. So I'd say that's like the most um HBCU thing in basketball that I've had. And like on the hill and Prairie View lifestyle and off the court, I want to say homecoming.
For sure.
Homecoming
I
definitely.
think I
So
think I think it's like that for every college. Because here at Graham, homecoming is the biggest event of the year.
right, it is. I think
But
that you can't deny that. So
no, you can't deny that. And I think, that's one of the most historical things about HBCUs is the homecoming. The homecoming is one of the latest events in HBCU history, program, all that in particular, because like Deuce just said, there is no better homecoming like HBCUs. I'm just going to go
it's
on and
not.
straightforward with you. The band, the fraternities, sororities, all that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
you can't explain, you can't deny it, but like I said before, what these Power Four and Power Five schools or the white institutions, whatever, what they try to do is they try to eliminate, just how important HBCU homecoming is. And like I told one of our guests on one of the previous episodes that we had, that
Hmm.
HBCUs, it's not an event. It's a history.
It is.
Um, and I know a lot of people look at these homecoming events and they think that, oh, it's just an event. Homecoming is just an event. What's so different about what we got? Well, what you have to understand is that there are deeper roots in the HBCU homecoming, because it's not just a homecoming; it's a history celebration of how Prairie View started, how Grambling started, how Southern. I can go down the list. It's a history thing at the
Right.
same time. It's not an event. So I think that's what people get it twisted on when they think about homecoming events, game atmospheres. It's a history in these gyms and out in the community. But and like I said before, you know, Peerview A&M, really like Deuce just said, Peerview A&M is one of the most dominant historical black colleges today, without a doubt.
Right.
The football team has shown that. The basketball team has shown that. Both basketball teams have shown that. So and really all athletics have shown that. So it's really just a matter of how much media, how much respect is Perry View getting. And like me and Duke said, we don't think Perry View is getting enough of it. And that's
Hmm.
why that's why I told you um, when I first asked you, do you mind bringing yourself and Peer View A&M with you? Regardless of your transferring, in my opinion, I honestly feel like even when a player transfers, they're still family to that university. Um, you
Yes.
know, so that's why I asked all of our guests that, do you mind bringing the university and the community with you? And first of all,
Hmm.
let me also say this to any peer review student, alumni, coach, whatever watching, how y'all doing? Um, but we gonna jump on into this next question here. I think you're gonna like this one. This one's called the Atlanta Roots. Coming, you ready for this one? Coming from Atlanta, what made you choose Fairview A&M over staying in Georgia for college?
So this is no sly. We just real talking. Honestly, if we're being real, I think God wanted me to leave Georgia. He wanted me to go and venture out and find something new, figure out more about myself and what I like and what I don't like. He wanted me to go somewhere else. And the reason why I chose Prairie View was because they had my major ultimately when it came down to me picking a school. Like every school that I wanted to go to, the PWIs that recruited me, they didn't have my major. And so what they told me was, hey, we'll find something that's similar to this. But I knew what I wanted. I didn't want nothing similar to it. I wanted um this specific major, and it was architecture at the time. So that's what ultimately led me to like really have the school in top my top five. And then what really put the icing on the cake was the coaching staff at the time and the coaching environment and what they were willing to do, not for me but to help me. Understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying.
So yeah, it was really, I feel like it was really God. He didn't want me to stay in Georgia. So
Mm,
So, my question is, and I'm just going to like give a little background because I am in the band. So, coming from high school and going to a college band, obviously the adjustments were different.
right.
It's not no 2 hour practices no more. It's 8 hour practices every day into game day because you know how HBCU bands are. I bet you've been to a football game. I bet you've seen it before.
Mhm.
It's more stuff that you practice for. It's like more field shows and stuff that you practice for. But for you, what was just the biggest adjustment coming from high school to college?
I want to say it wasn't the skill because we all know like getting recruited D1 or any school, you have the skill. I don't think it was necessarily that. I think it was the experience. I knew I didn't have the experience at the time. And so when I told myself when I was out there on the court and getting the feel for everything, like when I get some experience, I'm going to be the hottest thing out, you know what I'm saying? So I think that it was really the experience cuz and also the adjustment of speed of the game. Like it's faster, it's definitely faster than high school. And I think that also the IQ of the game is definitely more tedious and it's specific, it's technique, it's specific. And I think that I don't want to say the bad habits, but the things that I'm normally doing that are bad habits in the college world, you gotta shift and adjust to what the coach is telling you and how they want it done. It's not, oh, you can do it yourself and get away with it. It's how they want it done, specifically down to the touch. And if you don't do what they asking you to do, you don't play. So
okay.
Agreed. And then Michael, I'm just gonna ask this one question, and then I'm gonna let you ask, and then I got my last one. So this is my third question because I have four. You spoke to us about transferring, and we
mhm.
hate to see you go, but we obviously know ultimately it's for the better. It's for the
Right.
better for your career, so you can get that recognition you deserve. And
Mhm.
it's a bummer that I feel like the HBCUs just don't have it. But the question I want to ask you is, when did you feel like it was time for you to go?
uh oh. Y'all gonna have to cut this out. We keeping it
Um,
real, but y'all gonna
yeah,
cut the video out.
yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
need
yeah.
to be real.
I'm
Okay.
trust me, we won't. I'm not gonna post this part.
All right. Well, it was a lot of things going on behind the scenes. It was a lot of things going on, and I feel like it didn't line up morally with what I wanted to do and how I wanted to grow. And I think that with that, it was a lot of things that the staff needed to, I don't want to say work on, but needed to change. And in order for that to happen, it was going to need for some people to go. And with that, they didn't let those people go. So it was just like I knew my mental health couldn't endure that environment again. Like it would have been all right to do it again, but I know it wouldn't have been great for my mental to put myself back in that position again, knowing what has been allowed and what it has cost me. So yeah.
And it's perfect. That's a perfect response because we just had a mental health guest on here last week, and he was just telling us, you put your mental first before everything, because that's what keeps you driving forward in life.
Right.
And that is an honest answer. Me personally, I am glad that you shared that with us, because it shows that you're putting yourself first, you're putting your career first, you're putting your goals first. And that's what we want to see in Black athletes. That's what we want to see. We want to see them reach the top.
Right.
Yeah, dudes, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. You don't put her in a difficult situation. You don't put her in a difficult situation. But CJ, I totally understand what you're saying, because like me and Deuce have said before, we want the best for HBCU players,
Hmm.
regardless of whether they're transferring or whether they go into a different program. At an HBCU or a Power Four school or Power Five school, we want the best for you, because, like I said,
Hmm.
you might not think you might think that, oh, why do they care about our life so much? They don't even know us like that. That's true. But like I said, we support every single HBCU athlete that we possibly try to cover, because of the fact that, like I said, y'all's lifestyle matters just as much to us as it matters to your family and to your parents. Like you said, your dad was a huge inspiration in your life. I can tell, because, like I said, when I did my research on that, the first question I asked, I was like, yeah, I gotta ask that one, because that's a good one. Because your dad specifically told you nobody can take that away from you, and he's right. Nobody can. My dad done preached that to me over how many times? Be yourself, and if people don't like you, fine. That it is what it is. But don't stop being the human that God made you to be. So
Right.
and I honestly feel, like I said, I understand. I want better for you. Uh, just like your parents want better for you, because, like I said, this is the whole point of HBCU Central. We want the best for all players and coaches. Because, like I said, I don't just wear this shirt for no reason, because, like I said last episode, I was kind of bit pissed. I told Deuce, I hate that I couldn't even find my HBCU shirt, because I was just like, I like wearing these shirts, because people need to understand HBCU pride. It's, I don't even know how to explain it. It's a history. It's a lit environment when you step on these campuses. And like me and Deuce have explained so many times before, we're trying to, hopefully we get to a point in the future to where we can visit every single HBCU, travel to every HBCU, whether it's about plane or driving, doesn't matter. We're trying to spread and get experience touching on every single HBCU campus as possible. And hopefully in the future we'll be able to do that, because I'm excited to do it. I want to do it. That's the vision. That's the dream in my head. Because, like I said, I'm down for HBCUs, and I'm down for the culture, and I'm also down for the athletics. So we understand why you're transferring, but we wish you the best, and we hope that whatever school, first of all, whatever school is watching this right now, treat CJ with respect, please. Like, actually look into her game, her highlights, and all this and that. Don't just grab her just to have room on your roster, because that's not fair. That's not fair. I don't. No parent in a right mind wants their child to go to a school and they don't even play.
Right.
That's just you know that's not okay. And I'm not saying that's not at powerful 5 schools too, but you don't really see that. But at HBCUs, everybody gets an opportunity. Everybody does. I've seen so many coaches use their entire bench. Well, it don't even matter if you're a freshman. You're going to play. You're going to play.
Right.
And that's why I like
Exactly.
about HBCUs. It's about opportunities at HBCUs. And the one thing I like about HBCU coaches is that they know what they got, but they're not afraid to go depend on another player that they barely use or they never use, because every player is going to get an opportunity at HBCU. So
Hmm.
there's a slogan that Grambling has, that everybody is somebody, and every HBCU player is somebody on a coach's roster. So jumping into this last chapter, CJ, and this question, but this chapter is called. I decided to go a little fun here, because, like I said, I want this to be a fun conversation, not just a hesitant. Let me see how this goes. I want this to be a fun atmosphere, right? Um, but this question is called "One on One with AI," and I know that's a weird title to call this question, but I think you're gonna like this one. You said that if you could play any athlete one on one, You pick Allen Iverson.
I did.
Which of his signature moves have you tried to incorporate in your own game?
Well, I already have it. It's the hezzy snatch cross. It's like you trying to go one way and then you just snatch it the other way. The one
I know
he
what you're
used
talking
on
about.
Michael Jordan. So yeah, it's really that one. But I only bring that one out unless I'm really trying to get somebody like off they
They
balance. So
game.
yeah.
I totally feel that. I totally feel that. Like I said, I wanted to go fun here because, like I said, I don't want this just to be a sports show to where we just ask questions. I want this to be a fun conversational environment to where we want you. Well, no, let me rephrase that. You want to come back. It's not about what we want. It's about what you want. It's what every athlete wants.
Mhm.
And that's why I asked this question. When I first started, I was like, Allen Iverson. I kind of like that because I was a big fan of Allen Iverson myself. And I was also a big fan of Ray Allen. I was also a big fan of Ray John Rondo, Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. First of all, R.I.P. Kobe, by the way. Um, but yeah, I thought about this and I was just like, yeah, I gotta ask this question because this is a really fun. It was a really fun and funny question to me. So I was like, yeah, let me ask you. Let me get her opinion on this and stuff like that. But I appreciate you answering that for me. But I totally understand what you're saying, getting a play off that game, making them fall in their behind. as
Yeah.
we
Agreed.
say, as we say.
Agreed. And look, this is my last question of the interview. And I always
Mhm.
ask our HBCU players about this. Can you just describe the culture of Prairie View and just what stood out to you about Prairie View when you came to visit? Because like me, when I came to Grambling, yeah, it's a small campus, but the one thing that stood out to me was, oh, I like the fried chicken Wednesdays or the fried fish Fridays. I like to go to watch the step shows, and I like to go watch, I like to go to the football games and like actually play at like with the band and like so it's a lot of things that stand out when you go to an HBCU. So that's my question to you.
I'm sorry. That man said Frank. That man said Frank. Hey, dude, I'm with you on that though. I'm with you on that. Cause my supposed to be talking about all the time. I'd
You
rather be having
you
good food.
can't you don't hey you know to me you can't beat Wednesdays. You can't beat Wednesdays.
What you saying, CJ?
No, I was saying if I was lagging or not because it's like staticky on the mic.
Uh you're fine on our end.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you're good.
Okay. So I want to say that people really bleed purple and gold. You know what I'm saying? They have pride in their school. That's all you see on the name plates, on the license plates, PB stickers. Like people really believe in their school. They really have pride in the school. Um, and I just want to say, like the community there, like I was very scared and hesitant on how I don't want to say how people perceive me or how people was gonna like me, but I really built the community from my freshman year until now. Like it was
Mhm.
people that I don't even know their names, and because I don't even know like me being on the basketball court, it was like hey CJ, da, 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 and it's just like that's how I can make connections and I don't want to say do certain things, but just have interactions with people because and it's always this other thing like I want to shout out to uh what's his name like that's what I'm saying. It's just so many people that like support me and have my back and they're just there for me. They hype me up more than I hype myself up, and it's just like they want me to not be humble. They want me to just act a certain way, and it's just like I can't even do that because it's just like it's not even in my character because I just see people as people. Like I think that yeah, PV is amazing. I say the community they really support who I am and what I came there for, and it's almost like I'm sad to go. Like this isn't what I wanted to do, but I just knew in order for me to take the next step in my career, this is what I needed to do. So that's what I want to say about PB. Like they have my heart down to the bottom and to the top. Like it's just amazing. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't really have any more questions. Deuce, did you have anything else, bro, that you wanted to ask?
Not that I know of, but we can go ahead and get this wrap this up because I said we wouldn't take too long, and we finished under 25 minutes, so that's good in my books. CJ, you were a great guest. You came on. Thank you for really engaging in the conversation because we love that when our HBCU players see the vision and they understand what we're talking about, and it helps us promote our message, and it helps us promote HBCUs. So if I don't have anything else and Michael doesn't have anything else to say, thank you for taking time out of your day. Like, and I can't keep saying it, but thank you for taking time out of your day to come and speak with us. You're always welcome back on, and thank you.
Dude, I got one thing that I want to add. Um, I tell all our HQ players if there's one favor that we can ask from you, one favor that we can ask. CJ, can you do a favor for us?
What's up?
Can you spread the message that HBCU Central is for all communities?
Yeah, I got you. I'm definitely
We appreciate
coming back.
we appreciate you. That's really all the question that I asked. Like I said, we're not doing this for viewership, but we really want every ACCU player to know, every student at the university at Peer Review, your friends to know that we are legit, but we're also trying to be professional at what we do on spreading the vision and the dream on why we care so much about HBCUs. So I appreciate you for accepting that favor. Like I said, I hope that you've enjoyed this show. First of all, I hope that this is something that you would like to come back to. Um, and last thing, I hope that whatever school you go to, I wish you the best in the transfer portal, and I hope that God blesses you and helps you find the right school that fits you and that will help you academically and professionally in your athletic career in basketball.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Michael, we just reported to you that Langston's head coach, Chris Wright, who was already a top, coach in, his respective division, he took a one-win Langston team all the way to the championship in his second year. So you got to give him his props. And we reported it like a couple weeks ago that he was entering, looking for a new job, and an HBCU was a top HBCU was like his top choice. He's going to Alabama State, and that's good for a program like Alabama State who needs that a good coach to just push them, get that final push over the hump, in the tournament, in the regular season to take them to the championship. But what I want to ask you, Michael, is just what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, dudes. First and foremost, I'm excited about the move, but to make this short, let me just break down on why I think this is important. So, for the people that don't know, Alabama State University has officially named Chris Wright, Mr. Chris Wright, as the head coach for men's basketball on April 10th, 2026. Mr. Wright places Tony Matlock, who resigned in March to join the coaching staff at the University of Memphis. Hiring Mr. Wright Deuce is widely viewed as a home run move for the Hornets due to its reputation as an elite program builder and consistent winner. But Deuce, this is why I say this is a good move for Alabama State. And I broke this down as much as possible. Make sure y'all listening. Elite winning prestige is the first thing. Deuce, Mr. Wright holds a career head coaching record of a 332 wins with 121 losses. In average, that's .733. That's over 500 in over 16 years of his coaching. Dude. He has proved that he can win at a high level across multiple programs. Number two, exceptional turnaround ability. Deuce at Langston, Mr. Wright inherited a team that had won only one game the previous season. Deuce, they went 1-27, right?
Hmm.
But in 1 year, Deuce, he led them to a 31-1 record. In 4 seasons, Deuce, at Langston, he complied a 121 win to 21 losses record as the head coach at Langston. So, Deuce, like I said before, he has shown that he can be an elite program builder and a consistent winner. And I personally believe like I said before, this is a very home run move for Alabama State. Because like you just said, dudes, Alabama State needs someone that can help them uplift their basketball program and help them uplift their university. And I believe that Mr. Wright can do that. I saw this coming. I was just waiting to actually get the news that it was official. And I'm glad that Alabama State, first of all, shout out to Alabama State to actually grabbing Mr. Wright to uplift their program. Because like many HBCUs, we need coaches that can come to these HBCUs and lift them up, kind of like Coach Don at Alabama A&M. Dudes, we said that even though these powerful powerhouse schools want her, they can't have her because she proves, and like Mr. Wright, these two individuals both prove that you don't have to be a dominant head coach. Let me rephrase that. You're not too dominant to coach at an HBCU. You're, I can, let's say Kiyomoki, right? Let's say Kiyomoki went to Grambling or went to HBCU. Even Lamar Odom, he said that he wanted to be a head coach at an HBCU. So you're never too big to coach at an HBCU. It's just
Michael
a matter of how intrude are you to doing it.
Michael Vick, Deion Sanders, Deshaun Jackson, they all took that leap. They've all done it, and we see it all the time. And the one thing that stood out to me about Chris Wright, and it says Alabama State has hired Chris Wright as his new men's basketball coach. The school announced Friday. Wright comes to Montgomery from Langston University of Oklahoma, which he led to the NAIA tournament championship game during his 4-year tenure. He went 121-21 with the Lions finishing top 3 in nationally every season.
Yes.
He inherited a team that's one win, a coach that can change a program around. And you can say, "Oh, Alabama State's a smaller program." I mean, Langston's a smaller school. Yes, it is. But what can be done on the smaller level, I always believe can be done on the bigger level with more players. One thing about comparing from Langston to Alabama State, they can have more players on the roster. Because they are a bigger school. So right now, and not to get this long, but right now, he's in a good position right now. And if he uses the transfer portal and he recruits well, I very much believe that he is poised for success, for the future. And, Alabama State could be a team to watch out for in the SWAC, and as well as a team to watch out for against Alabama A&M, who Alabama A&M just got one of Grambling's best coaches and probably had one of their best seasons this season. So it can happen. And this is going to be interesting to watch this rivalry, go down between these two coaches, because this is a big hire. But the next thing I want to talk about is, do you have Grambling's next 2026 schedule pulled up?
I do, actually.
Okay, yes. I want to discuss Grambling's 2026 schedule. So let's go ahead and do that, because Grambling has a very interesting schedule, and it's not as jam-packed as it was last year, but it's still a pretty tough schedule. And I say this all the time. Even though Grambling has beat Jackson like the last 2 times or the last few years, Jackson is still a good football team. So, Michael, we were saying this way before the game, even before they beat them. Don't make your mind up on the final outcome before it happens. And that's why I want to, actually discuss this schedule, because look, they start the schedule off at Clark Atlanta, or at Graham Clark Atlanta. That is a smaller HBCU, as long as Central State. Grambling, Michael, what was Grambling's biggest issue last year, in your opinion?
Dudes, their biggest issue last year was one offensive inconsistency. They had a real, like, Grambling's offense. They were decent dudes, but at times they would start out slow, or if they didn't start out slow, they would finish slow. And dudes, there were games that Grambling really could have like outscored or outperformed, but it was so many, errors. There were so many, and then there were so many defensive lapses, blow coverages, missed tackles. It was so much going on, and I'm not saying this to talk down on Grambling, but dude, sometimes you have to be real enough to know what the world is going on, and it's right in your face.
I prove you.
That's what I'm saying. But see, here's the thing, dudes. Grambling, Mickey Joseph, like I said, I was kind of surprised that Grambling even gave Mickey Joseph another shot. But like I said, despite him having a 2-year contract, that don't even matter, because he could still be let go, and I'm pretty sure Grambling had to pay him, money that was on the contract that they gave him for the 2 year. But I'm being patient with the guy. I mean, a lot of people talking about be patient. First of all, I'm being as patient as I possibly can, but I'm also being real at the same time. Like Mickey Joseph, don't get me wrong, he's a good coach, but despite of all the transfers and all this and that he gets, you you have to know how to coach these players. First of all, you got to get them disciplined because there have been a lot of people telling me that on campus these Grambling players have been non-disciplined. They have not been disciplined, and and I hate to say that, but that's just what the word is on the street. That's just what the word was on the street from what people were telling me. But Deuce, I honestly feel that I don't care about the transfers. I'm glad that Grambling got the transfers. I'm happy about the rebuilding that Mickey Joseph did over the off season. I give him props for that. But you can have a dominant recruiting and have a poor season at the same time. So, Deuce, this is either going to be a growing stage. Because first of all, you shouldn't have lost to Bayou Classic. I'm just going to go and say that now. You shouldn't have lost to Durham Bayou Classic, but you did. I'm not going to get into that. But dudes, that's what the struggles were. That's what the struggles were.
And I'm gonna say this really quick because the 3 games that kind of disappointed me last year that Grambling lost Prairie View because they had multiple shots to win that. Texas Southern, but Texas Southern was different because 2 quarterbacks went out that game, and it's not an excuse, but it could have been better. Grambling gave Texas Southern too many opportunities. They should have won that game despite the injuries. And Southern found a way to beat Grambling. We literally kept saying we kept saying it don't matter about the record. It don't matter about the record. Southern can still come in and beat them. This is a neutral site. So I'm gonna say this really quick. The game that I am looking most forward to is the rematch with Prairie View, the rematch with Alcorn, because Alcorn has beat us the last 2 years, and it's a bummer when they beat you on your own home turf and then they beat you on their home turf and they treat it like it's a championship.
Yep.
Jackson State, we got them at home, but that's not the most game I'm anticipating. It's the Bayou Classic. And people can ask, oh, you're not anticipating the TCU game? No, because I hate money games. I hate them. And yes, TCU is not a big school as big like Ohio State, but they are still a pretty good football program. Michael, they just went to the national championship a couple years ago. I know you remember that. And despite the blowout that they lost to Georgia, they still made it to the national championship, which goes to show you that is a good program. This isn't a smaller school like ULL, like we played, or UL Monroe, or LA Tech. TCU is a good program. But if Grambling can at least put points on the board, I'm proud, bro.
Dude, let me give you my prediction on what I think the projected finish on what I think Grambling record will be in 2026. Dude, I'm gonna give you 2 options here. Grambling can either go 8-3 or they can go 7-4. I'm not saying it to be biased, but dudes, if Grambling don't win their first 2 home games, well, really, yeah, their first 2 home games, we all know that not gonna beat TCU. I'm just gonna be real. But dudes, if I'm Grambling, you want to at least win your first 2 home games to start the season off because that's huge.
And
Right?
that's HBCUs too, Central State and Clark Atlanta.
Atlanta. So Grambling can go into the bye week after the 3-game stretch one way. Well, 2 ways. They could go 2-1, or they could go 1-2, or they can go 1-3. So honestly, no, yeah, 1-2. I take that back, 1-2.
Don't sleep on Central State or Clark Atlanta. Those teams will catch you from behind, just like Kentucky State almost did. Kentucky State is just in the same or just the same size as Central State and Clark Atlanta. We said you cannot sleep on them. And Grambling got lucky they beat Kentucky State last year. They got lucky. They got real lucky. So I'm just saying, Graham fam, if I were y'all, I would not just say, oh, these are 2 easy games. Because Michael, you're right. You can go easily 1-3 into the bye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or dude, you can really go 0-3. And I know you don't want to go that route. But what I'm saying here, dudes, is I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to be biased. I'm trying to be real as I possibly can, y'all. Listen to me. Grambling Mickey Joseph, I don't care about the recruiting. I don't care. I'm happy about the recruiting. I'm happy that Grambling got a 4-star running back out of Nebraska. I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. I'm happy. But it doesn't matter because, like I said, you can have a good recruiting class and have a bad season, or you can have a good recruiting class and have a good season. It's just a matter of how you start the season off. And then, dudes, like you said, there are some key games here that Grambling can win. First of all, I am not ruling out Jackson State, even though Grambling playing at home. Jackson State is still Jackson State. Okay, Southern. It's personal now because they done went over there and got Marshall Faulk. So now it's way more personal. So you know you got to win that if you can. But then you got Fairview, A&M, right? They cooking right now. So you already done lost 2 straight times against them. You have this is a redemption year for Grambling, dude.
The redeeming SWAC champs. If you can beat them, the reigning SWAC champs, if you can beat them, that put a smile on my. That will literally put a smile on my face. In Jackson State, you can never count out Coach TC Taylor. You just can't.
Mm-mm. That brother over there is cooking already. He just went to Colorado and visited Deion Sanders. Dude, that man is cooking on a high level that I can't even explain to you.
And I'm gonna say this to Graham fam real quick. Me and Michael are not trying to talk down on Grambling because we want them to realistically go undefeated. But you have to look at it from a realistic standpoint. And I feel like sometimes, I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be rude, but I just feel like sometimes some of Grambling fans just be a little delusional when thinking about Grambling all the time.
They do, and that's the point that be kind of killing me because people talk about be patient. Oh, you talking down on Grambling? Or, like, no, I'm not. I'm really trying to do what I possibly can with y'all.
We want to get back to that winning way. You know what people always say? Grambling's legendary. They were only legendary back then. That's when their best years were in the 90s under Coach Eddie Robinson. But I'm like, okay, we won a couple in the 2010s. And if we can just get back on the right page, Grambling will always continue to hold that iconic mark of one of the best HBCU football schools. Up there with North Carolina A&T, up there with Southern, up there with Jackson State, up there with Howard, up there with Hampton. Oh, I can keep going on and on.
Right. And it wasn't even just Eddie Robinson. It was Doug Williams. It was Rob Broadway. It was many other coaches. Bruce Eugene, Chad Williams. It was all those guys. It wasn't just the 90s. It was the 2000s as well. Dudes, what we're trying to say is that Grambling's legacy is declining. It's declining really bad. You can see it. I can feel it. You can see it. Like even the crowd capacity is kind of coming down a little bit. You saw that last year, right? The crowd capacity started coming down a little bit. And I know Grambling fans gonna be delusional. You can be delusional about it if you want to. You can not like what I have to say. I respect you. I respect you for it. But I'm gonna keep it real while I'm on here. I'm gonna be real with you. Grambling has to capitalize on these things. And dudes, I don't even know if we got time, but for the sake of time, I'm gonna list this one thing right here. Capitalize home field advantage. This Grambling went 4-1 at home last year in 2025. With 5 home games this year in 2026, dudes, including a critical matchup against Alcorn State and Jackson State.
Homecoming. Alcorn's homecoming.
Dudes, the Tigers must sweep these games in order to stay in the SWAC West hunt. That's just bottom line here. That's just what it is. Dudes, Grambling cannot afford to lose these home games. First of all, you're playing Alcorn State in your homecoming. You do not want to lose another homecoming. You do not want to lose another homecoming because that is embarrassing as a head coach, and that's also embarrassing as a university because a lot of people be coming to these homecomings, dudes. A lot of people be coming to those Grambling homecomings. You do not want to keep constantly losing your homecoming game. I'm sorry, you do not. But dudes, that is the main thing here. And dudes, another thing, the offensive consistency has to get better. Analysts pointed out to need for more consistent games. First of all, let me rephrase that because I jumped the gun. Offense consistency. Analysts pointed out to the need for a more consistent offensive coordinator and better execution in close conference games. That's what analysts are saying. So, dudes, if Grambling does not have a good offensive coordinator, first of all, Mickey Joseph don't need to be calling plays. I'm sorry. He just needs to stay what he's been doing. there are a lot of head coaches that are not even meant to be calling plays. Okay, and Mickey Joseph, I respect him. I have nothing but respect for Coach Joseph. Don't want no one saying anything that I'm talking down Coach Joseph. No, I'm not. What I'm saying is that Mickey Joseph needs to depend more on his offensive coordinator. And come to find out, dudes, he has an offensive coordinator. But now it's just a matter of, are you going to let him call the plays? Are you going to let him do his job, or are you going to continue to call the plays? Because, dudes, you remember last year he was calling the plays, and even though the offense was doing decent, but it wasn't doing good enough. That's the thing here. There are some things that have to change this year that didn't happen last year in order for Grambling to have a better season than what they had last year. That is the bottom line here. And I will go and I will break down past to a better record because that's what I'm on right now. Those two things is what I'm reading right now. Pass to a better record. That's what I wrote down on. But for the same time, I'm not going to get into that. But like I said, Grambling has to start this season off 2-1. That's the bottom line here. If Grambling don't win their first two home games, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You
We
got the rest of the season. You got the rest of the season. That's true. But dudes, you never want to lose two home games to start the season off. And like you
yeah,
said, Clark Atlanta, Central State, those are not schools to sleep on. And Grambling has not gotten better over the off season. I really don't know what to tell you. I just don't
and
know what to tell
look, and Gremlin is 1-0 against Clark Atlanta, and I very much believe that they can get it done, but they just have to, they got to focus. Jackson State is a game that I won't rule out, but you know, Grambling is in the last 10. They're 7-3, so that's at least a bright side to look at. But
you.
the only game that just bothers me literally the most is the Southern game because we're on a 4-game losing streak against them. 3-7 in the last 10. 4-game losing streak. 4-10 conference record. And it's sad when you preach so much and you see the same thing year after year. But
Yeah.
to close this out, look, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna keep looking on the bright side for Grambling, but I'm also gonna be realistic and real about it.
Yes.
Because I feel like sometimes other HBCUs are doing more than what Grambling is doing. Southern revitalized their whole coaching staff, brought in new recruits. Uh,
Mhm.
not Eddie Lacy. Marshawn Lynch was just at their practice. I know if you saw that.
Mhm.
So it's the Dion effect can happen over there. It can happen
Yep.
over there. And Falk came from Colorado. He's worked under Dion. So who knows what Dion's taught him. But to close this out, make sure y'all stay tuned to our next episode. We have another special guest, and also make sure you stay tuned to our new post and our new reels. Me and Michael have been working very hard, to get that out to y'all, so y'all can be updated. Michael sends me a couple of reels every day. He says post it. I post it as news, and I get some stuff myself. Also, if you haven't been noticing, Michael, have you been realizing I've been posting every day a schedule breakdown or a predict the schedule? I did
Yes.
Grambling yesterday. I did Jackson State. I think tomorrow I'll probably do a smaller, like a SEAC school, or a
And
MEAC.
what we can start doing is do kind of like what we did with Grambling. We can break down as many HBCUs records um, for each episode. But for the sake of time, we don't have to do it every episode. But if we have an episode where we have time, unlike today, we can gather up some HBCUs. And I have noticed that first of all, I like the detailing that you put in that as well. So yes, I have noticed that, and uh, I like it a lot on what that idea that you gave.
Yeah, and so like basically, look, this is just to keep us busy through the off season because it is spring training. So you know why not just predict the next season and just start talking about football a little bit early and baseball is around the corner too, so we will be talking about that more often. I just felt like today, since we had time, why not talk about football again? But
Mhm.
to close this out, Michael, do you have anything else to say to the audience?
Yeah, Deuce. Like I said last episode, I was working on um on this little theme that I like to give out towards the end of the show. The definition of HBCU legacy and why HBCU pride should never fade. Uh, to our viewers, I'm gonna try to keep this short for the sake of time. 'Cause like I said, I will go through all this, y'all, but for the sake of time, I'm only gonna go through half of it so we can get off at a good time. But here's the definition of HBCU legacy. To define HBCU legacy, you have to look at the past and the buildings and the box scores. It's the intentional preservation of Black excellence, resilience, and community that has been passed down since the mid 1800s. Here's the definition of HBCU legacy, y'all. It is the unbroken chain, that's why I put in parentheses, of education and empowerment, founded when Black Americans were legally or systematically barred from higher education. HBCUs created a space where marginal, excuse me, marginalized wasn't a label but a starting point. Here's three things of the definition of HBCU legacy. The academic engine. Those HBCUs make up only 3% of the U.S. colleges, but produce 80% of black judges, 50% of black doctors, and 50% of black lawyers. Number two, cultural blueprint. From the world famed bands at Grambling State to the Divine Nine Greek life, HBCUs created the, as, the authentic and social DNA of Black America. Last thing, dudes, the economic ladder. Write this down. They serve as the primary engine for social mobility, taking students from the lowest economic quarters and moving them into the middle and upper class. This HBCU pride must never fade, and the legacy must continue for generations to come. That is the reason why I put this on here because of the fact that we as a people, us on HBCU Central, a lot of people like Miss CJ, she asked us, why do we do this? Why? Because this is why. This is why right here. I just explained it to you. The definition of HBCU legacy and why the HBCU pride must never fade. That's why I'm wearing this shirt here. It literally says it. It literally says this. HBCUs are powered by purpose. HBCU communities is not an event. It's not just a university. It's a history at these HBCUs. You just have to take the time to do the history. Dudes, when I was growing up, I didn't know nothing about Grambling. I was a kid. My dad took me to the ASU 80G Robinson Museum, and I was watching clips of and interviews, and then I understood over time and just why Eddie Robinson was the icon of Grambling State, on why Doug Williams was the icon of Grambling State as a quarterback, and why him being the first black quarterback to win the Super Bowl. Then Shaq Harris, Fred Dean, guys like that, dudes. And I understood over time just why HBCU history is so important compared to these Power 4, Power 5 schools like Tech, UNLV. Don't get me wrong, they got their history too. They got their history, and I respect their history. But Grambling, Southern, they have way better historical black history than any of these schools in the Louisiana region. You cannot define greatness at the HBCU. Historical black colleges are the icon of excellence in black athletes. Back then, HBCUs were looked at as a huge minority in black America, in the United States in general. But it took coaches like Doug, it took coaches like Eddie G. Robinson himself to build a foundation where history will remember itself as one of the greatest moments of Grambling State University history. Southern history, Jackson State history, Howard history, Hampton history, the Bayou Classic, the State Fair Classic, the Florida Classic with Bethune-Cookman at Florida A&M. Dudes, there is history in HBCU pride. That's why we do what we do, ladies and gentlemen. Is to help you understand that HBCU history is just way better when you look at it and you understand, you read articles, you go to museums. It's so much better history. Dude, it's like a movie. It's like you're watching a historical movie on how everything started, why it started, when it started, how did it get from where it started to where it is now. These Power 4, Power 5 schools, we know how they started. They were white institutions where our ancestors couldn't even go to. So, dudes, that's why from here on out, this starting this episode and previous other episodes, you will constantly hear me read this. But for the second time, dudes, I'm not even gonna get to why SU Pride must never fade because I got many more to give you, brother. But I'm not gonna give that to you tonight. What I can tell you is that you can constantly sleep on HBCUs if you want to, but you cannot erase HBCU legacy because it started with our ancestors and it will start with us and it will start with our future children for years to come. So shout out to all HBCUs in this region, in this country. We respect you, we hear you, and just like we said about Kentucky State, we respect you, we're behind you. Because whether you know it or not, why do we care so much? Why is there such a passion on this show? Because like I said, they can constantly try to make us forget about our own history, but it's up to us. It's up to me as a black man. It's up to me and Deuce as black individuals to make sure that that history never fades because we are all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
So on behalf of me, inside the locker room and HBCU Central, continue your university's legacy. And if you are alumni, continue your school's legacy because they trying to make you forget. But like I just said, and I will keep saying it until you understand, until your ears get tired of me speaking. And you probably already is, and that's fair. I'm about to shut up in a minute. But
Oh no, you're straight. You're straight. I'm texting my dad. You're straight. You're straight.
but you cannot wipe away what we built, what our ancestors built, what they had to go through to make it where we are, to where we can go to an HBCU. But now, like I said, dudes, now in this modern time, the world is trying to make us forget about our own history. They're trying to say our history does not matter. But now, dudes, it is up to us as black brothers and sisters, whether you're young, old, middle, it's up to us to make sure that our history never fades. We're we're the only ones that can protect it. And there are some people that are rocking with us. There are some people who are not even black and they're rocking with us, dudes. They're rocking with HBCU. There are some other racial players that are going to HBCUs, dudes. Even players overseas are going to HBCUs. So make no mistake, HBCUs is for everybody. It's just which HBCU is right for you. And I honestly feel like God can give you that best idea better than me or Deuce can. We're just here to support you and uplift you, but we cannot tell you where to go. And it's players like CJ. She has the option on where to go. She can stay in the HBCU route or she can go get better. Either way, we respect her for it because we respect her time as an HBCU player. But like I say all the time, regardless of you going to a Power 5 school, once an HBCU player, you're always an HBCU player. You can't erase that off your resume. You can't. It's it'll stick with you. It's like a job application. It's like a resume. I'm applying for a job application. It stays with you. So On behalf, like I said, of me, Michael at Inside the Locker Room HBCU Central, and Deuce, we stand for HBCU Pride, and we appreciate your support. We appreciate you understanding the vision, and we also hope that in the future that you will see us in person. You don't have to, you can speak with us. You can, hey, we're down for join. We're down to be special guests on someone's show. It don't just have to be our show. We're down to, if you are HBCU show, we don't mind coming. But HBCU Central here on this sports show, we're going to continue to uplift every community as possible because we are trying to make a difference. Because HBCU is a powered purpose. So, Deuce, that's all I got. We hope that you've enjoyed this show. And if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and please share. Please
And
spread the message.
yeah, and we're almost to 300. I think we're at like 283. So keep sharing our content and keep following us. So we can get to 300. Thank y'all for the support. As always, like Michael said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank y'all for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed this episode and stay tuned for the next episode.
Grace and peace be upon y'all.